Today we're diving into episode 1 of Love in the Moonlight, and let me tell you, this episode really puts the spotlight on the slow burn romance between Prince Sankaew and Sassin. The story has been building up layers of politics, family struggles, and the looming conflict over power and independence, but underneath all of that, the beating heart of this show is still about love, vulnerability, and two people finding each other in the most uncertain of times. In this review, I'll walk you through the major beats of the episode, break down the key moments between Sankaew and Sassin, and explain why this chapter of their story hits so hard. The episode begins with heavy political tension. We're reminded that the land has been under foreign control for 50 years, and the deadline for returning power is fast approaching. People are divided about what future they want. Against this backdrop, Prince Sankaew is caught between duty to his family and his own personal happiness. His father wants him to marry for security and wealth, to ensure their assets are safe and that their house is protected. But Sankaew is visibly torn. He may be a prince, but he's also a man who longs for freedom, not just for his people but for his own heart. This conflict sets the stage for how important his connection with Sassin becomes in this episode. We then get a glimpse into the sacrifices being demanded of the younger generation. Sankaew is told to marry a woman chosen by his father, a union meant to save the family. But inside, you can see the resistance burning in him. He doesn't want a loveless life. He's already lost someone dear before, and now the thought of giving up his own heart for convenience feels unbearable. This moment of frustration creates the perfect entry point for Sassin. Unlike the others around Sankaew who pressure him, Sassin offers him understanding, comfort, and an escape from the suffocating expectations of nobility. Their first encounter in this episode happens in such a natural but meaningful way. Sankaew ends up in a situation where he feels cornered, emotionally drained after hearing his father's plans. Sassin, with his easygoing yet sincere personality, becomes the one who lightens the weight. What's beautiful here is that Sassin doesn't try to fix things or argue against Sankaew's father. Instead, he listens, he shares a drink, and he teases him just enough to make him smile. It's these small gestures, like handing him a cup or joking about his serious expression, that remind Sankaew that he doesn't have to carry everything alone. Later, we see the two of them in a private conversation that marks one of the turning points of their bond. Sankaew questions why fate placed him in such an impossible position. He talks about duty, about the fear of losing everything, about the loss of his freedom. And Sassin, instead of giving him false promises, simply tells him that he deserves to choose what makes him happy. It's simple, but it hits hard. For a prince who has been treated like a pawn in a larger game, Sassin's words are revolutionary. They validate his feelings and give him permission to dream of a life where love matters more than politics. There's also a scene filled with symbolism. Sankaew and Sassin walking near the river at night. The river represents the flow of time, the inevitability of change. Sankaew looks at the water and says that no matter how strong he tries to be, the current always pulls him away from what he wants. Sassin replies that even rivers can be crossed, as long as someone is willing to reach out their hand. At that moment, Sassin extends his hand toward Sankaew. It's subtle, but the gesture is filled with intimacy. Sankaew hesitates but eventually takes it, and in that simple touch, the walls between them begin to fall. One of the most emotionally powerful parts of episode 10 is when Sankaew admits his fear. He confesses that he is afraid of being forgotten, afraid that if he chooses love over duty, history will erase him and his family. This vulnerability is rare for him, and it shows just how much he trusts Sassin. Instead of mocking or minimizing his fear, Sassin holds his gaze and says, "I won't forget you, no matter what happens." That line is delivered with such sincerity that you can see Sankaew's entire demeanor soften. For once, someone is not demanding something from him, someone is simply promising to stay. The political storyline does not disappear, of course. Throughout the episode, the danger of rebellion, property confiscation, and power struggles loom in the background. But instead of overshadowing the romance, it heightens it. Every stolen moment between Sankaew and Sassin feels fragile, like it could be taken away at any second. This sense of urgency makes their conversations more intense, their touches more lingering, and their silences more meaningful. The showrunners have really captured the essence of forbidden love here, two people clinging to each other in a world determined to tear them apart. One particular highlight comes when Sankaew sneaks into Sassin's place late at night. It starts with a misunderstanding, with others thinking he's a thief, but it turns into one of the most intimate scenes of the series so far. They sit together, drink, and share quiet laughter. Sankaew, usually so restrained and royal in demeanor, lets his guard down completely. He teases Sassin, admits he doesn't want to go back yet, and even smiles in a way we rarely see. In that room, away from duty, Sankaew is not a prince, he's just a man falling in love. The way the cinematography frames their closeness is also worth noting. Candlelight flickers between them, casting soft shadows that make the scene feel like it exists outside of time. The camera lingers on their hands brushing against each other, the glances holding for just a second too long. It's slow, tender, and deeply romantic. By the end of this scene, the chemistry between them is undeniable, and it feels like the show is finally allowing their romance to blossom in the open, even if the world around them hasn't caught up. Episode 1 closes with a mixture of hope and dread. On one hand, Sankaew and Sassin have clearly reached a new level of emotional intimacy. Sankaew has let himself be vulnerable, and Sassin has stepped fully into the role of his confidant and anchor. On the other hand, the threats of political upheaval and forced marriage still hang heavily over them. It's a bittersweet ending, the kind that leaves you desperate for the next episode. Will Sankaew find the courage to defy tradition and choose Sassin? Or will the pressures of power and duty pull them apart once again? In summary, Episode 1 of Love in the Moonlight gives us some of the most heartfelt Sankaew and Sassin moments so far. The balance of political tension and personal romance is masterfully done, making their love story feel both fragile and powerful. Sankaew's vulnerability and Sassin's steady support form the emotional core of the episode, reminding us why we root so hard for them. This is the kind of storytelling that makes BL series so compelling. It's not just about the romance, but about the courage to love against all odds. And in this episode, that courage shines brighter than ever.